Okay. Let's see. We should hopefully,
Be good.
maybe, if the camera. We've got sound. Now we're just waiting for camera. Hey, Perry. Hey, John. How are we doing? There we are. We're back. Okay. Now we're live. Hello there.
Wow.
And welcome to Star Wars Uplink. Good to see you all once again. Thanks, Perry, for the update. It helps to have sound, and it also helps to plug in the mixer for the sound. There we go. Yes, I do use a Lumix camera because it's got all the good fancy features for the day job. And I also can do stuff like this. And if I remember to actually plug in the mixer, I can have good sound and good video.
Whoops.
But yes, today we are diving deep. We're breaking down episode 6 of Ahsoka, Far, Far Away.
Still keeping it spoiler free? Can we?
We're going to do a short review, and then we're just gonna get into spoilers. I feel like you can't talk about this episode without spoiling it. So, right off the bat, how you feeling about this episode? Spoiler free thoughts on this episode.
Good build up to here. I still don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I feel like this is like peak Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've been saying this a lot around the whole of Ahsoka. But there are so many parts of this that I'm like, man, this is so Star Wars. This is just dripping, oozing Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was like the culmination of it. I do wonder how people who didn't watch Rebels would feel about this episode. Because I don't think there's anything here that if you didn't watch Rebels that you would understand.
Yeah. And like all the episodes up to this point have been helping. But as far as like really understanding these characters, it's like I don't know why they would care.
Who's this Ezra Bridger guy? Who's this blue alien man? Yeah, there is a lot, like John says here. So much lore. Everything from the Purgles to
the Night Sisters.
Yeah, everything. So much lore. And with that, I think it's time that we
can't even go any further.
I think we've covered. If you give this episode right before we go into spoilers, what would you give this episode out of 10? For you, not taking into account the broader things, like specifically how much you enjoyed it.
I'd say 7.5 to an 8.
Yeah.
I feel like it was about there. Because I don't feel like anything really like happened. Like it wasn't super punchy. It was just like, yeah. It's like this like, okay, here we go.
I'm feeling like a solid 8, maybe an 8.5.
Yeah.
Like that would be what I would be leaning towards. Just for my personal enjoyment of it, I felt like it had everything there that I was really wanting. And yeah, I feel like 8, it's a really solid 8.
Yeah.
If we take into account if we take into the broad casual Star Wars fan rating, I'd probably put it like a 7.
Yeah, it would
like
definitely be lower because there's just so much of it that you'd have to have the history with to be able to be like, oh, like, no. It's just kind of like, okay, cool, we've met everybody.
Yep. The crew's here. But yeah, now let's dive deep. Let's go deep. How do you feel about Thrawn?
Good. He's got a dad bod. And you know what?
He does.
That's okay. That's okay.
So I'm torn about that, honestly, because in the Thrawn books, he does make a strong point around having a strong body as well as a strong mental state. Like, that's a key part of the Thrawn character.
Yeah.
Until he goes to this other galaxy and he's like, yeah. Thrawn bod.
Yeah. It almost looks like they're putting it on more. Like, for some reason. I don't
Maybe it's to convey age.
Yeah. But if that's the case, why doesn't he have any, like, gray streaks in his hair or something? Like, I feel like they should have played into it a little bit more. He is very stark, but at the same time...
Yeah. Dad bods aren't bad.
No.
But I think in the case of Thrawn, it's different. Because if you don't know, Thrawn is in the books, he's a huge proponent of mental strength as well as physical strength. Like, that's a key part of who Thrawn is as a character.
Yeah.
So I felt that was strange. But I feel like we're just scratching the surface on Thrawn.
For sure.
Like, there were so many of like, oh yeah.
Yes, it was a very, like, slow, soft introduction to Thrawn. And I think that's good. Oh, his voice, man. I'm so glad it's him. I don't care about the dad bod. I'm just like, yes, this guy.
Yes.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah. I think Perry sums it up quite well. He looks slightly off, but close enough that I can ignore it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that is really weirded me out, though, is not the blue skin or the red eyes. It's his hair.
It's so, like...
I was like, oh!
Wig! It's like, oh, gosh. It just stops and starts. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, like, gradual thing. And I think that's just how it would look. Like, I feel like just the character of Thrawn, that's how... He's a blue-skinned character with red eyes and jet black hair. I don't know if you can do anything better with that.
Right.
Like, with the material that you're given.
I just find it so fascinating. Like, I feel like in the makeup industry, we have difficulties, like, understanding skin tones a lot of the time. And now they're just putting it on blue. And I feel like there should be some sort of, like, a darkening around the hairline to, like, transition it. But maybe it was just blue and they're like, it's fine.
Well, maybe because of how they shoot, usually on, like, a film set, you have to have, like, a lot of light. So they may
just be, like, washing it all out sort of thing.
And it's also streaming, so any, like, of those finer details might be lost in the compression of the stream. So maybe it is there. We just can't see it because of technology.
Could be.
Thwarted by the technology of our era. But let's get into the story that was told here. There are so many different pieces. Like, I was just thinking about this as we were watching it. Like, there are so many pieces here. You have, let's take a moment. Let's have some Baylan. Let's go to the Baylan love corner.
Oh, no. I might watch from a distance, but you go right in.
Baylan is so good in this episode. Baylan is dropping bits and wisdom around the idea of the Jedi Order, specifically to Shin Hati. Right? That's how they said it? Yeah.
I heard it like the one time I was like, oh, we finally said her full name on episode 6. Great job, guys. Like
Shin Hati, I think is how they pronounced it. And just talking about, she is very gung-ho and just very, like, aggressive.
Well, she's
and, like,
young,
exactly.
Of course.
That's what I love so much about it, is, like, she is coming at this from a very different perspective. Escathon, how's it going? Leaving for Greece. I'll watch the episode on the plane.
Wow.
Oh, dude, you're gonna enjoy this one. Now tune out before we spoil anything. Baylan is a very great character in this, because you have the very stoic, very I'm going to think about things while everyone else might be looking at this. And he calls out to the rise and falls of Star Wars in general. The rise of the Jedi, the fall of the Jedi, the rise of the Empire, the rise of the Jedi, the fall of the Jedi, the fall of the Empire.
He's pretty much just calling out all story, like all, just Star Wars in general. He's just like, why are we playing this game?
Yeah. And talking about his past as a Jedi, which Thrawn does a really good job of pulling that out too, of like, well, he is a Jedi. He was a Jedi, so.
So we should probably see him as flawed. It's like, oh, snap.
So on that side of things, as well as this very different landscape, very much like Colorado I was getting. Where we live in Colorado is very similar to the planet that they were on. So there was like,
very arid.
Very arid. Yeah.
But not as gray.
Yeah.
Our place is much more sunny.
Yes. I feel like Baylan is on a completely different path than basically everyone else. Well, it seems like Ezra is a part of his journey. It doesn't seem like it's the ultimate destination. I do wonder if they're going to need more of some force power for whatever they're looking for on this planet. Because that seems like what Baylan's in this for. It's no mistake that he was the mercenary hired for this. And it's no mistake that he decided to go into the wilderness on this planet. And it's no mistake that any of this is happening from his perspective. Like, he has a very clear goal that even Morgan Elsbeth does not know, I feel.
Yeah.
Or even realize the importance of the planet that they're on.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those hazy things. Like, we know that he's definitely on his own path, that he just needed to get over here, really. And he's not necessarily, like, unhappy to help out, but he's just like, yeah, this helps me get to my goal, sort of thing. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Seems like, is it Shin?
Yep.
Seems like Shin doesn't even know.
Yeah.
So
his path is only known to him.
Pretty much.
And I love that side of things because it's very different than we've seen a lot of characters. A lot of the villains in Star Wars, you are very clear on what path they're on. It's very clear. I mean, they basically tell you exactly what they're going to do before they do it, kind of thing.
I was going to argue. It's like, but then why did he fight like Ahsoka if he was needing like more force power? But she's so Jedi. She's so caught up in that past.
I feel like that whole piece is something that is gonna get overlooked on this episode. Is the whole perspective that Ahsoka has. Like right from the get-go, she is throwing shade on Sabine. Very unwilling to admit the struggles because she is so far removed from that position. From that perspective of like, she made decisions just like that when she was Sabine's upbringing. But now that she's so far removed from it, she feels very better than thou, holier than thou kind of thing of like, yeah, well, she made the decision that put the whole galaxy at risk. It's like, yeah, but you made a decision that put the whole of Mandalore at risk. So like, I'd step off your high horse there, Ahsoka. I thought you had some bit of enlightenment in the world between worlds.
I'm not sure she's ready for this white mantle.
Yeah, I don't think she's the Gandalf the White character yet. She's very much Gandalf the Gray. And Jean says he fought her with a mixed feeling, like if he would have taken her in his crew, but he knew that he could not. Like I feel like that's a good point. Like he could definitely argue that Sabine was a good person to have on this, and Thrawn ends up saying exactly that. You could not say the same with Ahsoka. Ahsoka would never be in that situation to allow herself to fall prey because she's very much on this path that the Jedi Order was on. This idea that the Jedi Order knew exactly what needed to be done when it needed to be done without taking into account that they could be wrong.
Well, and
Huyang says basically that to Ahsoka.
Yeah, and the non-attachment thing. Like, she would have had a lot of that training, and to be so attached to Ezra as to put an entire galaxy in danger? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Would be her thought.
Yeah. So there's that side of things. But then let's get into the Night Sisters side of things. Yeah,
that was sweet. Sweet
this
to
is
see
the
them.
first time we've ever seen Night Sisters in live action. We've seen them in the video games with the Jedi series, and we've seen them in animation in various cases, but never before have we actually seen them in live action, and that was really fun to see.
Very fun. Oh, man. That was cool. So ominous. So eerie, too.
Yes.
Like, oh, is this what I think it is?
And this is the planet where they were based out of. This is the planet where they were founded before they went into the Star Wars galaxy.
Crazy. In a way, it's kind of sad to see it so dead. So, but it's like accurate. It's like, yeah. It's amazing that there's 3 left.
Yeah, the great mothers.
Like, what are we doing here, ladies?
Yeah, what do you guys do?
Just the 3 fates, pretty much,
the
world.
They talk to Thrawn.
Yeah.
Seems like Thrawn is... I'm quite surprised, actually, that Thrawn is so involved with them. Like, that was something that I felt was very surprising.
Very, like, not mathematical or, like, logical.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because obviously he's had to try to survive, and these are the powers that he can work with, and they seem to be fairly accurate.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, no, there's a good chance with these ladies, and they like me enough. So
apparently they've got some magic voodoo stuff that allows them to see into the future.
Could be interesting. He's probably got all like the probabilities figured out already.
Oh yeah.
Though, so.
And then just the idea that he would not have foreseen that Ahsoka was coming, I think was interesting. And that the Fates, is basically what they are, did not see them coming either.
It's good. I feel like the Purgles probably hid them pretty well, though.
Yeah.
It's those natural ways of getting what you need tends to be a little bit more tricky.
On that note, I found it was really cool to see the difference in the hyperspace design. Yeah. It was the same. I was a little bit disappointed that it was the same as basically the Purgle travel looked exactly the same as the ship travel. But they were different. I liked that it was a different design than we normally see in hyperspace. It wasn't the stars coming at you and then the blue. It was streaks of gray and black and colors and a variety of different spectrums.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it was
good. Really cool. Yeah. I just wish that I wish the Purgles had like a more natural design to it. Like I thought it would have been a nice note to see the difference in technology of using a bunch of hyperspace lanes versus using a Purgle. I thought that would be a really cool design look to it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it works because I feel like it's. I don't know. I think it works.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I just personally, I think like if I was the design director on that, I'd be like, let's play around with that. Let's visually show the difference, and then that would also be a good identifier of the different perspectives that Ahsoka and Morgan Elsbeth have of like. What does it look like to have a machine basically brute power its way through these galaxies versus the Purgles like floating through on their normal like paths through the galaxies kind of thing.
Right.
It is interesting that Peridea, right? Peridea?
Yeah, something like that.
That planet is a graveyard for the Purgles.
Yeah. It seemed like it was mostly just in like the ring outside of it, like the I don't know what you call those, man.
But just having the birthplace of the Night Sisters also be a home for like death and graveyard for the Purgles, which was the pathway from their galaxy to the new one.
It's good storytelling there. Beautiful.
Yes. Very exciting as well.
Yeah. Man, this episode was good. I'm just trying to think of like what. Okay. Oh, I really liked the dog wolf thing.
Yeah, the howlers.
Yes, they're great. I like that. It's interesting because that is very Star Wars.
Yes.
These like strange alien companion animals things.
Yeah.
It's a Star Wars move. It is. And I'm glad to see more like natural mounts. Like we get a lot of
like the speeder bikes.
Yeah, like bikes and technology and stuff like that. But it's really nice when you have this natural mount because it really connects you even more to that planet. So I really appreciated seeing something new.
How do you feel about the way that they found Ezra?
Okay.
It felt so annoyingly Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was the closest it felt to The Mandalorian.
I would have said that's the closest it felt to the sequel trilogy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Of just stuff like
Rise
of Skywalker, you get attacked.
We just
and then,
happened upon this town.
Yeah.
That led us
It
perfectly
just so happens that we needed to get wrecked at this exact moment and fall into the sand pit that
and
was
just
actually
so
quicksand.
That this guy was there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand the Howler did find the person, but like really. Okay, we're back.
Woo.
All the technical difficulties are happening.
When the episode's just that good, everything goes like...
Just today.
Everything has to fizzle.
Everything has to fizzle. That's how good the episode is. But yeah, there's like, only one planet in this galaxy? Thrawn was somehow... I don't understand. Like, is Thrawn just chilling on this planet too? Like, does his ship not have enough power to leave the planet? What is going on there? I think is an interesting question to ask.
Yeah,
I think it would make more sense if they were all trapped on the planet. That's why they found Ezra there. But that didn't lead me to that realization. It just felt like Thrawn arrived there from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Ezra was stuck on the planet.
And my gosh, what an entrance. Just seeing that giant ship coming, though, man.
Yes.
Oh, it was so freaking good.
It was so awesome.
A lot of questions about that. Like, so what? So you guys made it here with the Purgles, and Thrawn just spat you out on this thing and then was like, okay, bye-bye, I'm going to go
see you later,
fly
buddy.
around. Or, has it been this, like, no, we need to like repair the ship now, and like, is it just kind of up in the atmosphere?
Yeah. Like Perry's asking, how did Ezra get away from Thrawn?
It's so true. There's so few answers right now.
Yeah, there are, which is I think is great, but also a little bit annoying considering we only have 2 episodes left in the season. Again, this is why I don't like 8-episode seasons. It doesn't lend enough time for like true satisfaction in these stories. I feel like if they had 4 more episodes in this season, I feel like we would get a true explanation and exploration of all the different pieces of this. But I guess we just don't need to know if they didn't find it very important. But it did take me out of it for a second, like out from the immersion, to think of like, wait, how did they get away from Thrawn? One. And then what was going on with the whole Ezra thing? Like, how did Ezra get away?
Right.
How did Thrawn get away?
It's also... I get really kind of stuck on these things, too, because, like, how easy it was to find Ezra for Sabine. It's like... Okay, so
how did Thrawn not find Ezra then?
Yeah.
Like,
and
dude,
Ezra just
brilliant.
Like, did he just hop on this planet and was like, oh, look at these rock creatures. I'm just gonna hang out with them for the entire time that I'm here. Like, it seems like he's just kind of like ingratiated himself with these.
It's like I'm gonna be a little farmer man now, little hermit crab dude, grow out a beard.
Yeah.
A man of your talents, really.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like an Ezra thing to do, to just lock in with these creatures, which maybe he hasn't. Maybe this is just where we're finding him because he's like, ooh, I did a bad turn with these.
But it has been so long. Rebels took place so long ago in the Star Wars galaxy.
It's true.
The whole galaxy was at war. The Empire fell. The Jedi apparently are back. And Ezra's still on the same planet?
Yeah, and Sabine says, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you about what happened. Let's just revel in the moment right now.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? No, tell the man what's going on.
Ezra's going to be pissed when he finds out what Sabine did.
Oh my god.
You're telling me I sacrificed myself to protect the galaxy, bring Thrawn with me, and you decided to bring him back to the galaxy and give him a surefire way of coming back?
Yeah, that's all that needs to be said. Oh, I hope he gets angry. Like, we need to see some conflict here. Yes, they can both, like, be brother and sister again, but also they gotta have a spat here. Yeah. Come on. Like,
there's gotta be some friction.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's strange.
But I don't know. Do you feel like Sabine's being selfish in this entire episode?
I think that's the whole point of like that's what we're supposed to come away with is she's thinking more about herself and the guilt that she has around Ezra than the galaxy, which I think is a strong storyline for them to have, because you have I'll sacrifice my best friend Ahsoka, and you have no, I'm going to do anything I can for my friends with Sabine. And I feel like Ezra's like right in the middle between those two. Like, he got enough training in the Jedi to understand his decisions, but not enough to be like, yeah, I'm just going to cut off everybody.
Yeah.
But he has successfully lived the Disney Star Wars Jedi arc.
No.
Sacrificing himself and then going onto some random planet to become a hermit.
True.
With some very specific language-speaking people.
Yeah.
Am I talking about Ezra, or am I talking about Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi?
Or are you talking about Yoda?
Or Yoda?
We'll see how wise he's become.
Yeah.
And how willing he is to
Also, he needs to shave that beard.
Yeah.
It's not working. It's not. Sorry, man.
I bet you, like, next episode they'll be like, yeah, but, like,
somehow he doesn't have a beard.
He's like, okay. Ching, ching. Use my lightsaber. Thanks, Sabine. And I was just waiting for that to come back.
He gets a little tiny lightsaber as, like, a little shave.
He gets one of those, like, little blades from Kylo's. Like one of those.
Little cross guard. Before we do in this live stream, I do want to say something I love so much. I can't remember the exact name of it, but in Japan there is an art of repairing broken ceramics with gold, and they have carried that on with that tradition with the stormtroopers in Thrawn's legions, and I love that note. Also, what was the dude's name? The lead. Enoch.
Or I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they said it a little different, but it's pretty much Enoch.
He looks cool.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate that they put a face on his mask. Like, oh no, you are head. You are good enough to have a face. Like, you get that honor. Everyone else looks the same to an extent, but you get the actual, like, the visage.
I do wonder. So I'm trying to find out. Enoch is a character in the Bible and is in the Book of Genesis, I think. Is a biblical figure and patriarch prior to Noah's flood. Lived 365 years before he was taken. Walked with God, and he was no more, for God took him. Which I think is really interesting if you look at Thrawn as the godlike character and Enoch being his right-hand man. That's fun. That was something that like perked in the back of my brain when I heard his name. I was like, I need to dive a little bit deeper. So yeah, Enoch was like someone who walked with God, which I think is a good little. It's a fun little like Easter egg, I guess, that Dave Filoni's like
a nod. It's like a nod to, I don't know. It's a choice. That's a choice, but it's good. It's fun.
Well, I think Dave Filoni's definitely going back to a lot of different religions, because Shin and Hati is from Norse mythology, I believe. And you have, he's always fascinated with like wolves, and wolves are a big sign of various religions around the world. So he's bringing a lot of like the religious context that George Lucas brought into Star Wars in various aspects from across the variety of religions, and bringing that into Star Wars and Ahsoka, which I think is a good callback, as well as just the whole implementation of like Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, which I feel like this series is definitely bringing a lot of that inspiration to.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Also, they look awesome.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good overview of like our thoughts on the episode. If you want deep dives on like some of the lore aspects, make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for Thursday's video, because we're going to dive deep into some of the deeper stuff that we saw in this episode. But yeah, check out our podcast that we released today. We talk about some of the biggest new Star Wars movie news of the week, and there's some really good stuff there. But as always, thanks for joining us on this live stream. We'll see you next week, Tuesdays at around 8:15 p.m. It's going to be fun. As always, may the Force be with you.